Hello everyone, welcome to week 3. We are talking about logos. So if you haven't already, go download your worksheet. There we go, the one with the one that says logos on the top, and we'll go through just a couple things and hopefully we'll answer all of your questions. So number 1, well, I guess first of all, remember that not everything will apply. So go ahead and put your answers in there. You can see I have a few notes on here already. And you know, again, if you can't think of anything right off the top of your head, just leave it blank. You might go back and fill it in later, which is fine. Or it might just not apply. Let's just go through each of them and I'll just quick give you a couple notes on them. So number 1, where do you think your primary use will be? So will it be, excuse me, will it be a web or will it be a storefront or both? And it's fine if it's both, but go ahead and note that. There are a few graphic elements that are different for a storefront or website. Normally on a storefront you can have your sign as big as you want, or maybe it'll just be a little bit on your door, or maybe both. So it needs to be viewable and readable from the street in both locations, so that graphically that might cause a little bit of tweaking for each of those. And then plus you take that storefront sign and you go put it on your phone, which is this big. It adds another element of graphics. So that's something to keep in mind. So note that right away. And number 2, what is the meaning behind your name? So if you named it after, you know, your favorite grandpa who has passed away, you want to make a note of that now, and then you'll have to figure out if that's something you're going to incorporate so that the public knows the meaning behind that, or is it a tagline underneath that you're going to then let the public know who you are. So if you named it after somebody who is no longer around, or a certain hobby that you have, or a location that means something to you in your life, and then you're trying to then brand it as something totally different, this might be a good time to either change that or figure out how you're going to brand it with a tagline or something underneath so that people will know exactly what you do. So those meanings behind those things probably don't mean as much to the average person, or they probably mean nothing to the average client that you have. So you want to incorporate your logo so that they see your logo and they know why they need you. So keep that in mind when you're picking your name and your taglines. So number 3, and who is your ideal client? Next week we will talk a lot more about how you figure out who your ideal client is, but I'm guessing you probably have a good concept already laid out. If you have a storefront, if you have an online store, they might be different, so go ahead and map out as many of those as you need. And we will go, next week we'll go through that, and you might want to come back and add some of that. I don't know if that's quite as necessary when designing your logo, who your ideal client is. I think the style of your company determines who your ideal client is, so this is why we're doing this week with the logos, and the next week we'll touch on that. Excuse me. And number 3, if your answer is broad, see if you can come up with a couple of or number 4, if your answer is pretty broad about who your ideal client is, see if you can come up with a couple certain traits that are common with all of them, and then note them here. This might help you with your style and who you're marketing to. Number 5, does your business have a mission statement? With my DIY website, I went with Inspiring to Create, and that website is based around DIY projects and files that I design and sell. Some of them are free, but it helps people, what's the best way to put that? It helps people, inspiring them to create. So I want them to create something of their own, and hopefully some of the files I give relays that to my clients and customers on that website. If you're interested, you can go check that one out at wecanmakethat.me, and we also have a Facebook page too. So that's how I came up with that mission. Number 6, if you're updating your brand, what do you want to keep? And we're gonna go through, if you already have a logo, there's another video after this that is for those people who are watching here that already have the logo set, and they just wanna go through and make sure, give it a review type thing, and then make sure that it's serving their client. So I know that a lot of times we do a logo that we love. I was totally guilty of this too 20 years ago, and it meant nothing to the client. I had tulips on there. Well, then everybody thought I was an interior designer. I've had people ask if I was a florist. So I needed to pull all those things that meant something to me off and make sure that it was something that meant something to my client. So, or prospective clients. Number 7, list your main products or services that make up the bulk of your business. So if you have a storefront and you're selling, you know, it's a boutique, so you're selling clothing and jewelry, put those couple things down, but you don't need to list earrings and shoes and socks and, you know, all of that. So you can make it pretty broad, but list the bulk of what makes up your business, or what you hope to make up the majority of your business. And then you can go ahead and rate them according to income. So if you sell a ton of earrings, but the majority of it is your cute little signs that you have in the back of the store that everybody loves. They're more, excuse me, they're a more high-priced item, so that might be the bulk, and that might be more what you want to be known for. And what makes your business unique is number 9. Let me see, what do your current customers love about you and your brand? So if it's your customer service when they come into your store, if you're selling signs on the internet with a shop, it's your, you know, farmhouse sign right now that's trendy, so you probably don't want to steer your logo towards that as much, but map out what makes your business unique. If you are a speaker, how you do the speaking that makes it unique. Your topic maybe is it. If you're a blogger, maybe it's your topic, or how you present your information. So do some thinking and figure out number 9. You might need to use the back of the sheet too. Number 10, do you provide a solution? And if so, what is it? Sometimes sometimes if you have a shop, you're just selling items. But if you have a membership site that deals with healthy eating and you provide a solution for that, that would be something on number 10 is what I was talking about. You would want to write down and note so that that is portrayed in your logo. So you want to be sure to note it on here. What long-term goals might change? The answers on the sheet. So right now, if you're making signs, you want to incorporate to teaching people to make signs, or having a monthly membership where you make signs with people. All of that might progress as time goes on. It's hard to jump right into one or the other. So there is usually a progression of these type of things. So you want to go ahead and note that here, so that if you don't want to make your logo say farmhouse signs if down the road you're teaching people to make signs and the farmhouse trend is not as popular then. So that's something to consider. Let me see, number 12. Excuse me. Taglines are a good idea. So go ahead and, again, this would tie into the top couple questions where we talk about what your name is and maybe what it means to you. And if that's something that your name is not as broad, so now you need to narrow down kind of who you are. So by the time people go like this and scroll up on their tablet or their phone, or they drive by your store, they need to know exactly what you sell or what solution to a problem that they would want to buy. So that can be incorporated from those buzzwords. So you might want to pull out that worksheet from week 2. And sometimes your tagline is just simply, 2 or 3 buzzwords, just graphically placed underneath your logo. Make sure that they're readable on all formats. So if you're on your website, on your phone, on Facebook, that it's all, that you can read it. So make sure you use a great font for that. But also just so as they're going in that quick second and quick driving by, they're going to see, Shelly's boutique, but they're going to know clothing, or maybe it's home decor or that type of thing. So go ahead and list a few of those. And if you have a whole bunch of ideas, sometimes just writing them all out will give you an idea for 1 or 2 words out of your 12 you've written down that kind of sum it all up. So it's good to spell it all out that way. 13, do you have any color preferences? And what I mean by this, you might want to head over to Pinterest and just type in color boards. There's a lot of examples. So if you kind of had some colors in mind, but you want to narrow it down so that when you are creating your graphics, you use the code in all your graphics programs, and then you can tell your web designer if you're doing it yourself. And I will walk you through some of those things when we do graphics in a couple weeks, but you want to have that color in mind when you do your logo, so make sure they mesh together. Number 14 is do some research. So now you want to go out probably to Pinterest, I would say, and come up with 3 ideas of a look that you love. And this doesn't mean then you're going to come back and say, Shelly, how do I make this with my name on this font with this graphic? That would be called copyright infringement, so we're not going to do that. But there's so many when I first meet with a client, they have so many visions up here that I don't get to see. So now with Pinterest, I tell them to send me 2 or 3 ideas of something they love or that sparked their interest, that they needed a logo for this small business that they're now starting to push and promote a little bit more. And it'll give you an idea, you know, do you want one of the, like a round logo with your tagline that goes around, your initials in the middle. If your name is short, maybe your name would be in the middle, but remember it would be very small in your profile pictures. So you want to make sure it's readable for that. So do some research, come up with a few even screenshots just from your phone to keep handy for when we get to the next couple steps. And then I will show you in the live, I will talk to you about ways that you can go ahead and design your own logo, have your logo designed reasonably. I have a shop. If you are ready to go, you can pick one of those and make it your own. And I think there are a lot of ways to make yourself look professional without spending the average $400 to $500 that I would charge for an original logo design. So by heading over to some of these other companies, you can check out Fiverr, you can check out Creative Market, and sometimes just going onto Creative Market, picking a font that's not on everybody's computer, usually for $15 to $20, you can come up with a font that you like, incorporate it with maybe 2 font styles, and make your logo that way. And I think now having something that is readable on our phones that are so small, the majority of my settings when I go look at my website, we can make that averaging about 7,000 hits right now a month, and the majority of those people are on their phones. So I need to then, after I do the designs and upload the settings and all of that googly technical goop, I go back and pull it up on my phone. And sometimes then I go back and delete it and start over because it's not readable. So that's one thing to think of, is the majority of people are on their phones. They're at soccer practice waiting for little Jimmy to come out, and they're just scrolling through Facebook, and they'll come across your stuff and they'll want to look at it on their little bitty phone. So that's something to think of. Moving along, number 15, the fonts. Make sure a lot of type creates a feeling, or a lot of fonts already have a brand assigned to them. It's like the Magnolia logo from Joanna Gaines, that sans serif font with the spaces between it, that clean look. It is generally very readable on all devices, and that has now kind of been branded the farmhouse style. And again, if you're gearing towards professionals, you probably don't want to go, or men, you probably don't want to go with the scripty type fonts. So make sure what your ideal client is matches with your font design, so that your brand will then all mesh together. They'll see your font and that you used for the name of your company, and they will automatically probably have a feeling of what style you have. So keep that in mind. And I will go through a couple of ideas you can incorporate all this together when we do our live on Thursday. If you have any questions, meanwhile, pop into the group and go ahead and ask them there. There's also room on here for some creative notes on the bottom too. If you already have a logo, hopefully I should have said this, I think I said this at the beginning, but you're just going to want to go ahead and pop up to number 2. And after you design your logo, that might be, the second video might be something you also want to just run through quick. So we'll go ahead and do that. And this week I will give you a couple ideas on where you can get your logo designed, how to design your own logo, and then we will also have a news feed if you want to, after you get your logo designed and you played with it a little bit. A lot of people are creative, and I think just having that one set of eyes look at it, I know that happened to me too when I first did something. It was like, well, I still don't know what you do. So go ahead and share your logos if you're ready in the group. I will put a news feed in there so you guys can go ahead and pop on and share them in there. And then I will also put in there the 3 or 4 different ways when we do our live on where you can go to get it designed. If you don't find anything in my shop, you can go ahead and pop on these other ones. And there'll be a few tips throughout the week so you can design your own. A lot of you are probably very creative anyway, so you probably already have that visual. So it's a great way when you're first starting out to save money like that and just go ahead and do it yourself. And again, if you are interested in going to the next step you can sure go ahead and reach out to me personally, and we can talk about doing an original logo design for you as well. But for now, I will give you these other tools and we'll go from there. And again, I will see you on Thursday in our live. Thanks.